welcome. My special gratitude to my dear God brothers and God sisters who have come from distant places throughout the world to bless all of us this evening and for this yatra. My sincere obeisances to His Holiness Chandramauli-Swami Maharaj. His Holiness Bhaktivinod Maharaj. His Grace Yadavacharya Prabhu. His Grace Anuttama Prabhu. His Grace Udayananda Prabhu. Her Grace Nartaki Devi. Sri Ram Tulsi Devi. And His Grace Gaurvani Prabhu is also with us this evening. And I wish I could say the names of all of you, but I'll say them all at once. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namah. This evening we will speak something on the subject of Kanyakumari. It is could everyone hear? You say Haribol whether you hear or not. They cannot hear. Kanyakumari is the southernmost tip of the subcontinent of India, the confluence of three oceans, the Indian Ocean, the Bay of Bengal, and the Arabian Sea. And I would like to expand on the subject of the fourth ocean that we discussed last night. Today there is a fourth ocean merging into the three oceans. It is the unlimited, fathomless ocean of the heart of compassion of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And all of us are like little waves and aquatics swimming in that ocean. And today we have come to this holy place. Krishna's Karuna Sindhu, which means He is an ocean of compassion. That ocean is so deep, without boundaries. It factually encompasses all material, spiritual worlds, all of existence. And I welcome Her Grace Kamagiri Devi also, who has descended from Columbus, Ohio. And just as the sun evaporates the water from the ocean to create cloud, the cloud is carried by the wind inland to provide fresh water, life-giving water for all living beings. Similarly, from this infinite ocean of Krishna's compassion, he sends by the breeze of his own grace his loving devotees to shower us with that water, to shade us from the burning sun of material existence, to quench our thirst for real meaning, real pleasure, and real love. In 1510, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this place, bathed in the confluence, visited the different temples. Previous to that, Lord Nityananda Prabhu came, and according to the Bhagavad Purana, previous to that, Lord Balaram came. It is by grace that we are eligible to have facility in association of devotees by which we can purify our hearts. And as the heart becomes pure, the eternal light of the love of Krishna that is dormant within the heart is awakened and shines for the whole world. Behind us, or in front of you, is a rock that is visited by many hundreds and thousands of pilgrims every year. On that rock are the footprints of the goddess Parvati. It's also the place that Swami Vivekananda meditated in 1892. And many of you will be visiting the temple of Kanyakumari, which is surrounded by 4 very strong walls and is right by the seashore. For thousands of years, this has been considered one of the holy places. And by bathing there, one is cleansed of one's negative karma. With your permission, I'd like to tell you a story of how that has come to be. At one time long ago, the Asuras conquered the Devas and tortured, persecuted saintly people, plundered and exploited to build up their own empires, to satisfy their greed, their lust, their envy, and their arrogance. Bhumi Devi, an expansion of the feminine potency of the Lord, or Mother Earth, approached Lord Vishnu to help her children. Lord Vishnu told her that she should have the Devas perform a yajna to the goddess Parvati. Banasura performed great austerities and received a benediction from Lord Brahma that he could only be killed by an unmarried virgin girl. And there's not that many unmarried virgin girls that are great warriors that can face the king of the demons in battle. So Lord Vishnu wanted to honor the benediction given by Brahma in a similar way as he did in regard to Hiranyakashipu. The Devas performed a yajna, and Parvati appeared in the form of a very little girl, Kanyakumari. She told the Devas, just be patient, let me grow up a little, and then I'll satisfy all of your wishes. She came here, and feeling great separation from her consort, her eternal consort, Lord Shiva, she performed tapasya. Nearby there is a temple called Suchindra, where Lord Shiva at the time was residing. Very much attracted by his natural love for Kanyakumari, he proposed to her for marriage, which she immediately agreed. And they set the time for a particular date at midnight. Narada Muni, who is such a liberated personality, he has the authority to do the most unorthodox, incomprehensible, and bewildering things, all for the ultimate good of everyone and the pleasure of Krishna. He understood that if Kanyakumari marries Lord Shiva, then according to the boon of Brahma, she's not allowed to kill Banasura. And that's why she came. At least one reason. So he approached Kanyakumari and said, you know Banasura has mystic powers. What if he's disguised himself as Lord Shiva and proposed to you? So ask something of him that only Lord Shiva can do. So she said, I want you to bring me coconuts with no eyes, mangoes without seeds, and bay leaves without veins. And within seconds, Lord Shiva produced them. So the night of the marriage, Lord Shiva left Suchindra and was coming toward where we are today. And Narada Muni had to somehow or other stop this marriage. So he went on the pathway and took the form of a rooster. And he what do they call? He crowed. Everyone crowed like rooster. Louder, louder, please. Even the females are cawing like roosters. This is proof that we do not discriminate. Anyways, it was very well done, thank you. I have to keep them awake somehow or other. So roosters crow just before the dark of night breaks and dawn appears. So by Narada Muni's potency, Lord Shiva was thinking, it's almost sunrise, that means I missed the auspicious time of midnight. So he turned back. Meanwhile, you may ask, if Lord Shiva's all-knowing, why didn't he know what time it was? Because Kanyakumari was supposed to fight with Banasura. This is Lord Shiva's Achintya Shakti. He could know and not know. He doesn't need a watch. He's Ishvara. He's the Lord of the material creation. Time is working under his control. But by Narada Muni's influence, he was mixed up. And he went back. And Kanyakumari was waiting and waiting. It was after midnight. She waited. Finally, the sun rose and there was a big feast cooked for the wedding and nothing was there. So she threw all the food. And according to the legend, it became sand and seashells on the shore of the three oceans. From there, she sat and performed tapasya in separation, waiting for Lord Shiva to come. And she's still waiting. Meanwhile, Banasura heard about her, and when he saw her beauty, he was infatuated, proposed to marry her. She told him, I have given my heart to Shankar, and I can give it to no one else. Nobody had ever refused Banasura before. So angry, he lifted his sword. He said, either you surrender to me or you die. Now please understand, she was just a very innocent, simple little virgin girl sitting on a rock. And here is Banasura, the king of all the asuras, with his sword drawn, giving her an order. But Kanyakumari, she responded by appearing as Kali. And she had her weapons too. There was a good fight. The battle went on. And ultimately, Kanyakumari, with her chakra, she killed Banasura. But just before Banasura died, he repented. He became purified by her association. And he prayed for a benediction that let myself and all other people for all time to come be absolved from all their sins if they bathe here in the confluence of the three oceans. She granted that benediction. He took his bath in the ocean and died. And since that time, tens and millions of people come here to bathe in these sacred waters. And for us, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and so many other great souls have come. So it is a very holy place. The deity of Kanyakumari in one hand is holding a japa mala as she's waiting in separation. It is said that the deity that has a very beautiful blue form was originally installed by Parasuram, the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, long ago. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada, he has taught us a very internal understanding of the temple of Kanyakumari. For Vaishnavas, we see that the Murti is also Lakshmi Devi, who was born from the ocean of milk and who is now residing next to the ocean. He explains how in Kurukshetra, the elder gopis is the place where the elder gopis are especially remembered for their love and separation from Krishna. And in Kanyakumari, the younger, unmarried gopis are remembered. The mood of vipralamba, or love and separation, is very similar, according to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, as Sri Jagannath Puri. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, who came to taste the sweetness of the love of Sri Radha and to share that love with the world. When he was residing in Puri, he manifested those feelings of love in separation, the mood of the gopis of Vrindavan. During the Yatra, he was in the mood of Sri Radha and the gopis bringing Krishna from Kurukshetra back to Sri Vrindavan town. And in the Gambhira, he was practically constantly absorbed in the highest, deepest ecstasies of love and separation. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur tells us that the gopis, in their pure, spotless, spiritual love for Shyamsundar, Gopinath, they worshipped Katyayani to gain Krishna as their husband. Kanyakumari and Katyayani are the same personality. So for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we meditate in this place as a place of Vipralamba Seva, a place where we remember the gopis of Vrindavan and their spotless love for Krishna, and especially how it was revealed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the world. In Vrindavan, the forest of Bandiravan, there is a murti of Subal, or Sridama, a murti of Sridama. When Krishna was leaving Vrindavan with Balaram on the chariot of Akrura, he told Sridama that I will be back in a few days. Sridama said, I will wait. And under a banyan tree in the forest of Bandiravan, Sridama waited and kept waiting and waiting and waiting in the pangs of separation from Sri Krishna. For 4,500 years he waited. When Lord Chaitanya visited Vrindavan, as he entered into the Bandiravan forest, he cried out with tears of love in his eyes, Sridama, Sridama, I have come. You have been waiting so long. I have come, I have come. And Lord Chaitanya, in the mood of Sri Krishna, embraced the deity of Sridama. At Govardhan, when Krishna was departing, one Gopa named Lota Baba, he said, "Krishna, I'm not going to eat anything or drink anything until you return." Krishna said, "I'll be back in a few days." And at the tail, Govardhan is shaped like a peacock, and the tail is called Punchari. And there Lota Baba has been waiting over 5,000 years. And there's a murti for him that has been established there. And interestingly, the murti is quite heavy set. And he hasn't eaten anything for so many years. His love and separation nourishes him. So there are many such deities who are in this mood of vipralamba. And here Kanyakumari is waiting and waiting for Lord Shiva's return. On the subject of love and separation, in honor of our South Indian Yatra, I would like to speak a story about two of the great alwars of the Sri Sampradaya. Andal, among the 12 alwars, was a lady who from her birth manifested a very similar love in separation of Krishna, like that of the gopis of Braja. The story goes like this. This is explained in the great scriptures of the Sri Sampradaya. In the line of very high, respected and pure-hearted Brahmin priests was Mukunda and Padma Devi. They had a son named Vishnu Chittar, who was also known as Peri Alwar. From his birth, he had such natural quality of love and devotion to Krishna. Like little Prahlad, he was spontaneously attracted. He did not require rational, philosophical proof of what if the goal is life. He did not require sensual observations which would establish and confirm his faith. Although he honored the scriptures and was eager to hear from them, his faith, his love was already there. And the expression of love is naturally the desire to serve. Vishnu Chittar loved Krishna, the son of Nanda and Yashoda, who lived in the simple forests of Vrindavan as a cowherd boy and plays forever in that forest with the gopas and the gopis. If he's here, I'd also like to welcome my dear godbrother, His Grace Narottam-Ananda Prabhu. I heard he's here. I don't know where, but please everyone say Haribol. He fixed his mind on Krishna. Narottam-Ananda and Vishnu Chittar. And when he heard the story of how Lord Krishna, after he left Vrindavan, being invited by King Kamsa for the wrestling match with Chanura and Mustika. Krishna was on his way to that wrestling arena. And he was in the high road where the majesty of the king would go. And Krishna decided to go off that high road onto a very small alleyway because he was searching for a simple maker of flower garlands named Sudama. In the Vishnu Purana, his name is Malakara. We know the story of how Malakara or Sudama, when he saw Krishna, he brought him in his simple little shop and offered him the very best of all of his garlands. And then for the pleasure of Krishna, all the rest of his garlands he gave to Krishna's friends and asked for absolutely nothing in return. Because he understood the ultimate perfection of all of his desires was to serve and please Krishna. On the path of bhakti, the end and the means to receive the end are the same. When Srila Prabhupada was asked, "What do you hope to get from chanting Hare Krishna?" Srila Prabhupada said, the goal of chanting Hare Krishna is to chant Hare Krishna. On the path of pure devotional servants, it is not that we chant thinking that that will bring us to a place where there's no need for service, where there's no need for an Ishtadev, where there is no need to chant the holy names. Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtana, the holy name of Krishna has descended from the highest realm of the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. And in the spiritual world, eternally, the purest, most highly, intensely loving, liberated souls are forever chanting the holy names. The reward of service is simply that we have served. Vrindavan Das Thakur in his Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat has said, the highest position one can possibly achieve, beyond a king, beyond a demigod, beyond a saint, beyond a liberated soul, the highest post is to have the title Das, a servant of the Lord. When the gopis sang their beautiful song in separation from Krishna on the banks of the Yamuna in Vrindavan on the night of the Rasa Leela, Krishna again appeared before them and told them that for your love and your service, I cannot repay you. Even with all that I have, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Mata Sarvam Pravartate. Krishna is the proprietor of everything in all material and spiritual worlds. Krishna said, even in a lifetime of Brahma, with all that I have, I cannot repay you for your love. I'm unable to do so. Please be satisfied just with that loving service in itself. That itself is the highest treasure. The opportunity to serve. When Sri Hanumanji jumped across the Indian Ocean, delivered the message of Ram to Sita, burned a major part of the city, jumped back and reported what he had done for Ram. Ramchandra was overwhelmed because he was living without a kingdom, in exile, on a mountain called Malyavanta in Kishkinda Kshetra. Sri Ram said, I want to reward you. You have risked your life. You have endeavored with such love, with such courage. And you have pacified the heart of Sita. I owe you everything, but I have nothing to give you. All I have is my embrace. And Sri Ram embraced Hanuman with tears of gratitude. And for Sri Hanuman, that is the ultimate reward. Just to please Krishna. So Sudama, that was the ultimate reward. He didn't want anything. He just wanted to please Krishna. And he was taking great risk, because he was living in the regime of Kamsa. Kamsa hated Krishna. Kamsa practically every day was sending asuras into Vrindavan to kill Krishna. And here is one of his own residents in his own kingdom giving free garlands to Krishna and surrendering his life to Krishna. He was taking risk. Kamsa had spies everywhere, but he didn't care. This is love. And Krishna gave Sudama benediction that all of his desires would be fulfilled in this life, and afterward he would go back home, back to Godhead for spiritual perfection. So Vishnu Chitar, he was so inspired by the Lord's grace to the most menial, common person. And in his own humility, he wanted to be like Malakara. So in a village, Sri Viliputur, he had a deity named Vattapatra Shayana, which is Kararavindara Padaravindam Mukaravinde Viniveshayantam. We read about in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Maitreya Rishi was in that ocean of dissolution, he saw on a banyan tree leaf little baby Gopal floating around, sucking on his toe. And our acharyas tell us that devotees are in so much happiness, tasting the sweetness of the dust of Krishna's lotus feet, which means tasting the sweetness of serving Krishna with love, that Krishna wants to taste what his lotus feet are like. The supreme absolute truth, Vishnu wants to taste that. So he took the form of little baby. And I guess little babies naturally like to suck on their toes. Don't laugh, because you were all little babies We have all tasted that experience. But by Srila Prabhupada's grace, now we get to taste the experience of the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna. And sweeter than that is the dust of the feet of those who love Krishna. Vishnu Chittor, or Peri Alvar, decided to dedicate his life to growing flowers in a garden and making garlands to offer to his deity, Thakurji. Menial service. He was living a very simple life, digging with a spade, on his hands and knees, planting flowers, pulling weeds, plucking flowers, and making garlands. Completely satisfied. The ultimate experience and the ultimate goal of his life was simply that he could offer that garland and place it on the form of the Lord, and the Lord would accept it. He wanted nothing else. One day, in Madurai, there was a king whose name was Ballabhadev. He conquered all the provinces around him. And he was a righteous king who loved his citizens, and his citizens loved him. In the spirit of Lord Ramchandra, sometimes he would disguise himself incognito to wander around the kingdom just to see what people were thinking and what they were doing and how they were living. He came upon one Brahmin who was sleeping. He was very interested to hear something from this Brahmin, so he woke him up. He said, "Who are you?" He said, "I have just come from a pilgrimage to the Ganga in North India. I'm a Brahmin." The king said, "Can you tell me some words of enlightenment that will help me in my life?" The Brahmin said, 8 months a year, a man will labor so that he can enjoy happiness for the 4 months of the rainy season. Half the day a person will labor so that he can enjoy coming home at night. Similarly, this human form of life is meant to pursue self-realization so that we can enjoy the highest liberation after we die. This really had an impact on the king. He was thinking, there's nothing of this world that I have not achieved. I have no wants, I have no needs. But I haven't done anything for my own spiritual life. He went to his chief minister, who was a learned scholar, and asked him, "Please tell me how I could prepare myself for spiritual realization." The minister said, "According to the Dharma Shastras, you should bring an assembly of great learned scholars, pundits. Have them come together for a debate on spiritual subject matter based on the authority of the Vedas. And whoever wins, you should inquire from him and follow what he says." The king called for all the great pundits, scholars from his entire kingdom. They were all eager to win this debate. There was a flag of the kingdom, which was in the assembly hall, and the king put a very priceless treasure, wrapped it in cloth, put it and tied it with a rope, and hoisted it to be up near the flag. And whoever was to win that debate, he would bring down the treasure and give it to them, and they would cut it. Meanwhile, back at Sri Viliputur, Vishnu Chittar was performing his simple service of gardening and making malas and offering it to the Lord, completely satisfied. One evening, he had a dream. The Lord spoke to him. He said, I want you to go to Madurai. There is going to be a debate of the greatest scholars in the entire kingdom. You go there and speak my words on my behalf for the welfare of all of humanity. Vishnu Chittur was struck with wonder. This is impossible. What? He said. I am poor. I am illiterate. How possibly can I enter into a tournament with the greatest intellectuals of the entire country? My dear Lord, look, my hands, they're dirty, they're cut up, they're calloused from just working in the fields day and night. I'm just a poor gardener. I'm fit just for humble service. And you want me to stand amongst the wisest men of the kingdom? I'm not learned in the Vedas. And I'm supposed to challenge literary geniuses? Why are you asking such an impossible thing from me? The Lord responded in the dream, why do you worry? I will do everything for you. Arise and go. As soon as he opened his eyes from sleep, he took his bath and began the journey. There was no question. This is faith. When he arrived in the kingdom, in the royal assembly, King Baladev, he understood that Vishnu Chittar is coming from a hierarchy of priests. So he stood up and gave him a very warm reception. Meanwhile, the other pundits, they resented this. Why is the king honoring him? He is a dullard. He's a fool. He does not even know one letter of Vedanta. The minister of the king asked Vishnu Chittar to speak. He stood up after praying to the Lord of his heart to empower him. Like Valmiki Muni, who was just a simple hunter, a dacoit. He was not learned in any way. But by the mercy of Narada Muni and by the instruction of Lord Brahma, he presented to the world the Ramayana. Or like little Dhruva Maharaj, who was only 5 years old and had no education. He was living in the forest by the grace of Narada also. And when Vishnu appeared to him, he wanted to offer prayers. but he didn't know any. And the Lord touched his head with a conch shell, and by doing so, empowered him to speak such beautiful Sanskrit poetry, so deep with wisdom and devotion that now, even yugas later, the greatest scholars and saints are repeating and attaining perfection by doing so. Vishnu Chitar stood up and said, the conclusion of all the Vedas is very clear. It is self-evident. The beginning of the alphabet is the letter A. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, of letters, I am A. A, according to the Pancharatra, is the symbol of Vishnu. Krishna, or Vishnu, is Param Brahman, the Supreme Brahman. He is Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. He is the ultimate liberation can be achieved simply by meditating on Krishna. Manmanabhava madbhakto madhyashim nam namaskuru mame vaishashin satyam te pratijani priyoshime. Always think of me. You will come to me without fail. This is confirmed by even the greatest sages, Manu, Parasara, and Vyas. The conclusion of all dharma is to always remember the Lord and never forget him. So simple. He elaborated for quite some time on this subject. When the king and all of these great pundits heard this simple gardener, this Malawala, speaking with such profound realization, conviction, and wisdom, they were stunned. There was complete silence, and right in front of everybody's eyes, spontaneously, without anybody doing anything, the treasure just lowered. Slowly went lower, lower, lower from the flag of the king and came right in front of the hand of Vishnu Chitar, who cut it. At that point, King Ballabhadev and everyone else, they applauded. And the king called for a royal procession. He escorted the simple gardener to a royal elephant, highly decorated, put him on top of the elephant. And he called for canopies and trumpets, conch shells, umbrellas, all sorts of decorations and wreaths. The whole capital of his city was decorated for this procession. He called the entire town with musicians and dancers, and the pundits were chanting mantras. And here is little Vishnu Chitar, feeling himself to be a totally empty vessel who was filled with the grace of God, not claiming anything to be his own. As this procession was moving along the city and he was riding on the elephant, Lord Vishnu himself was so pleased to see everyone honoring his pure-hearted devotee. He wanted to come himself to see. Vishnu Chitar looked up in the sky, and there he saw Lord Narayan. With a beautiful bluish complexion, dressed in yellow like lightning, magnificent lotus-like eyes, sitting on Garuda, his bird carrier, and on his side was Lakshmi Devi.